Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us for this webinar, 4 Marketing Tactics to Finally Ignite Your Digital Growth. My name is Stephanie Tang, and I'm the Marketing Manager with Class Act Media. I'm excited to see everyone here and to share all of these tactics with you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, first thing is I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Then we're going to dive right into these 4 tactics that you can use to fuel your digital growth in 2024. But we're not just going to talk about them. We're going to take a look at some of the major brand players out there and crack their playbooks open. We're going to really see how they use these tactics to grow their own business. And then finally, after, we'll talk about how you can apply them to your business. Okay, so a bit about me. As I said, my name is Stephanie, and I've been in marketing for 8 years, working primarily in entertainment, tourism and hospitality, and telecommunications. My portfolio includes marketing campaigns, branding, SEO and PPC, social media, paid ads, content creation, and grassroots marketing. Everything I do is geared towards driving results, and that's why I'm so excited to be here today. I thought it was timely to have this webinar in October because this is a time when businesses like yours are starting to plan for 2024. And you might be thinking, what can I do to really elevate my marketing? What are new techniques that I haven't been trying? Or maybe you've been meaning to look at your digital marketing and you're just not sure where to start. If those are questions you've been thinking about, that's fantastic. You're in the right place. I'm excited to bring this research to you, and I really hope that you can add this to your strategy. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into tactic number 1. We're going to kick things off with talking about content for the AI and TikTok era. Google is making some really big changes to their search engine and how it behaves and how it ranks information. The traditional ways of ranking are not going to be as effective anymore. What does that mean? It means that brands and businesses need to make significant changes to their marketing now, not only so that they keep being found, but also so that they rank on top of the search engine when these changes take place. People who fall behind are going to have a harder time catching up, and so now is really the time to start thinking about and implementing some of the techniques we're going to talk about today. Think of Google as a gatekeeper. As a search engine, they control who gets through, when they get through, and all of your customers are standing on the other side. In this section, I'll talk about how you can get the keys to that gate so that your audience can get through and they're not being kept away from you or your great products and services. Before we dive into that though, let's talk about what's changing. First up is TikTok. Some of you will have already seen this, but Google is now indexing and displaying TikTok videos right in the search results. That means people who are looking for tutorials on how to cook, or looking for restaurants nearby, vacation ideas, product reviews, are going to start seeing more and more of this type of content, as opposed to your traditional search results, which would be your blogs and your articles. Videos are now also going to receive higher search priority, not just from TikTok, but YouTube and other sources as well. There are a few reasons for this change, but it mostly comes down to changing user preferences and behaviors. Gone are the days when we would just go to YouTube for cute cat videos and comedy skits. Now, people can go on there and find billions of videos on hundreds of thousands of educational topics. People are learning how to cook on there. People are learning languages. People are learning how to change tires. And likewise with TikTok, someone can go on there, treat that as a search engine, and find quick, easy 30-second reels that will teach them how to do pretty much anything. So by implementing this change, what Google is doing is providing a better experience, catering to user preferences, and providing value with these videos. But not only that, another thing that they're doing is Google has improved its ability to understand what type of content is in your video. Is it a tutorial? Is it a reel? Is it a recipe? And it can also gauge how engaging that could be to the audience and the person who entered the search query. The next change we're going to talk about is forums. Popular examples are Reddit, Quora, even Facebook to some extent. And the change that's happened is that these results will soon be indexed and displayed in search results as well. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Most people who go to forums, especially Quora, are there to ask questions like, hey, does anyone have a really good massage therapist? Does anyone know a good mechanic? Or what has your experience been with this product or service? Those answers are now going to be displayed on Google instead of being buried in forum threads. The last change we're going to talk about is AI and its impact on personalization. So personalization is nothing new, right? But with AI, the more it develops and as it builds its algorithms and its learnings, that's going to lead into something that's called hyper-personalization, where it's even more tailored than anything we've ever seen before. So that's something we're definitely going to have to look at as it comes up on the horizon. Okay, let's jump into some statistics here. As I alluded to, consumer behavior is changing and video is rising to the top. So over 500 million hours of video are watched on YouTube every single day, and over 74% of Gen Z uses TikTok as a search engine. Those are some pretty wild numbers. And what that tells us is that even though a new gate is being put up by the search engine changes that Google is making, there is a flood of opportunity to both get ahead of these changes and get in front of new audiences. Now that we've talked about the tactic, let's crack open that playbook and see how big brands are using this for their business. The first case study we're going to look at is Nike. These guys really understand how to win on TikTok. You can see here they have 4.9 million followers and a highly engaged audience. How do they do it? Let's take a look. The first thing you'll notice about their feed is that they have a varied amount of content. So it's not just the same thing posted over and over. Each thumbnail is distinct, colorful, and attention-grabbing. Their mix of videos are product reveals, athlete collaborations, lifestyle videos, and the most important thing is that their content is fun and lighthearted. People don't go to TikTok to be sold to, so you're not going to see a lot of posts that talk about their promotions or their sales offers. People are there to be entertained, and that's a really important thing to remember when you're building your TikTok content strategy. People want to see things that are funny. They want to tag their friends. They want to reshare it. And Nike understands that really, really well. If we break their content down further, we can see that there is value there. Take a look, for instance, at that screen capture on the bottom left. It's a video about Pilates tips. They also have videos where athletes will come in and offer tips on how to improve your golf swing. There's so much value out of that alone. And then, not only that, but their content invites people to participate, and that's really important. People love to feel like they're part of something. And a way that Nike does that is through challenges. So, for instance, they've hosted dance challenges where they invite users to film themselves doing moves and tag them in it. And that's a great, easy way to get user-generated content and also have people engage with your brand. And so by doing this and doing it well, people are going to come back again and again and again because the content is immersive, it's valuable, it's engaging, and it provides an opportunity for them to interact. The most successful brands on social media really understand how to capitalize on the dopamine and serotonin reactions we get when we're tagged in something, when someone likes our content, or when something is commented on. And so by creating these opportunities, Nike has cultivated a very strong social media following that entertains and gets people to remember their brand without overtly trying to sell to anyone coming to their channel. Another brand that really understands how to win on TikTok and that we're going to look at for our next case study is Sephora. They have just under 1 million followers, and as you'll see, they follow the same strategy as Nike. First, we'll start with the content. So just like Nike, it's engaging, valuable, and entertaining. Their videos are a combination of product reveals where they'll bring in new brands. They have influencers come on to answer questions and talk about their favorite Sephora products. And they also do lifestyle videos where they talk about style and show people going shopping and generally engaging with their brand in a very positive way. Likewise, there's the education piece. So Sephora will have videos on how to achieve the trendiest looks of the season, or how to do basics like how to get a smoky eyeshadow. As you can see in the bottom left, they did a piece on 5 reasons you should wear SPF. And these videos never overtly mention that they sell these products. And that translates really well because now someone might be thinking, well, I know how to do this, or I know why I need sunscreen. Where am I going to go to buy it? More likely than not, it's going to be Sephora because they've established themselves as a thought leader and they've also provided value without expecting anything in return. And that's so important to what people are looking for. So that's the TikTok game. Now, how can you use this for your business? Well, honestly, not so different than how Nike and Sephora have done it. So to recap, your content needs to be valuable, engaging, fun, and relatable. And that's something that Nike and Sephora do really well. When you go on those TikTok pages, it doesn't seem like you're visiting a corporation's page. It looks like anything your friends could post. It's fun. You want to watch it, and that's what you're aiming for. So just for a few examples, you can do a day in the life. You can show what the scenes are like behind the office. You can showcase a team building activity like a lunch. You can also capitalize on your expertise. So for instance, you can show off a skill. You can demonstrate some thoughts. When we're talking about tutorials, it doesn't necessarily have to be a product. If you offer a service, say accounting, if you're an Excel whiz, you can show off a quick skill that could be helpful in someone's day-to-day life. Or if you own a catering company, you can share a really cool cooking tip. Little things like that can go a very, very long way. And as a final way to win TikTok, one thing that's very, very important is to have a great descriptive title, to use keywords and hashtags. That's basic SEO, but it really ensures that your videos are landing in the right place. And once those TikTok videos are fully being indexed, that Google knows how and where to show those videos, right? We already talked about how it can tell what the content is and how engaging it'll be. And using that is just a little boost to get you a little further up the search engine. All right, that's TikTok. Let's talk about forums. This is a huge one, and a really great example of how to leverage this is what TELUS does on Reddit. So, as you can see here, they have what's called the TELUS Technicians Corner, where they offer exclusive support and FAQs. And this is really fantastic. Not only does it serve as another touch point, but the technician is giving detailed, targeted answers. And as we talked about earlier, once those search engine changes come through and they start displaying more forum posts, this gives them a very, very good chance that they're going to rank on the top when people are looking for inquiries about cell phones and related services. So how can you leverage this? Well, it's quite easy. And one of the best ways is to just start browsing Quora and Reddit. Reddit has subforums for basically any topic imaginable, and people are always on Quora looking for very specific answers that you can provide thought leadership on. There are even Facebook groups that are geared towards asking very specific questions, and you can probably find groups that are geared towards your industry or niche. So by being active on these, you can make sure that when someone asks a question that you're an expert on, you can be either one of the first to answer, or you can be the one that provides the best answer. And you don't always have to promote your own business. In fact, one of the best ways to approach this is to just provide advice. Be thoughtful, be cheerful, showcase that dedication to customer service, and that you know what you're talking about. So when the time comes that they need to make a purchase, your name is going to be one of the first to come to mind. And not only have you already built that relationship, but you've already established a foundation of trust. All right, the second tactic we're talking about is immersive events. What are they? How to create them? And what elements you need to turn your audience into brand fans. So, what is an immersive event? The development of AR and VR has really changed the scope of this. So, for instance, in the past, it could have been the midnight launch of the newest Harry Potter book. That would have counted as an immersive event. Or gathering at a convention. That's also an immersive event. But let's take a look at some modern examples and the factors that define them. So the first of them is that they're engaging. That speaks for itself. It can be a simulation or a narrative. So in this case, we're looking at VR or an escape room. It could also be something like a themed dinner where you feel pulled away from reality. The second is that it blurs the line between physical and virtual reality, and this is where the AR and VR comes in. So a really great example of this would be Pokemon Go. That was an app that took the world by storm. Millions of players were playing it, and it wasn't uncommon to see people running around in the streets with their phones out, capturing Pokemon that weren't actually in the real world, but only on their phones. It was immersive in that it made people really feel like they were Pokemon trainers. Next, they're often multisensory. So, the most common ones for immersive events, especially in the AR and VR realm, are sight, touch, and hearing. However, if you're doing one of those in person immersive events I talked about, such as an escape room, it can easily encompass all five senses. That's the basis of our immersive events, and let's look at why these work and why they need to be part of our marketing plans. When you think about events and why people attend them, there's really one reason at the core, and that's to create genuine connections. People want to connect with other people who share similar interests. They want to share those experiences with like minded people. And so that's why immersive events are a fantastic way of boosting your reach and your brand sentiment. We can see here that 91% of people feel more positively about a brand after an experience, and 85% are more likely to purchase after the fact. So these could be a powerful tool to boost your digital presence via word of mouth and by user generated content when they share their feelings about that experience after the fact. Let's look at our case studies. Our first case study is Sephora, and they have done an incredible job of blurring the line between physical and virtual. This started with a TikTok. So what they did was they posted that if anyone lived near Central City or their Grove locations in LA, that they could go to those stores at a certain time frame between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., show the TikTok at checkout, and receive a free rare beauty bag that was autographed by Selena Gomez. It was announced as a limited edition bag with limited quantities allowed. And this created immediate excitement. You can see by the comments there are 87, and it's people tagging each other, people wishing they were in the area, or people saying they were on their way. That immediately takes them out of the virtual realm into the physical realm by getting them into the Sephora store. Not only that, there's a sense of urgency. There's only 5 hours for this campaign, there's a limited amount, and that prompts immediate action. There's also the fact that you're very unlikely to just go to Sephora, get your free bag, and leave. So there's an opportunity there to create sales. People are going to want to browse products while they're there. They're going to want to interact with you more. And then after, they're going to post about that bag on social media. So this is an excellent example of an immersive event that brings people out of the virtual realm into the physical realm, creates that excitement, and is also multisensory, and creates an opportunity for Sephora to grow their brand and their sales. The second case study we're looking at is Catherine Zeta-Jones. So she hosted a live stream shopping event where people who registered could come onto the webinar, ask her questions, interact with her, and then she would talk about some of the products that she was interested in with the opportunity for them to purchase those immediately. And this is a powerful example of an immersive event in a few ways. First and foremost is that it's engaging. It has a casual feel where people can sit on a couch with Catherine Zeta-Jones, ask her questions, and interact as if she were their friend. So immediately there's that sense of something different, something that people can't get on a day-to-day basis. Likewise, that blurs the line between physical and virtual reality. You can see in that image there that Catherine Zeta-Jones is sitting on a couch. People are behind their screens, but it creates that sense of intimacy. And again, it's multisensory. So there's sight, there's sound, and then there's also touch. So you can see there that the option for them to purchase immediately is right there. And much like Sephora, it creates that sense of exclusivity. It almost creates that sense of urgency. and it capitalizes on people's impulse purchases. So, this is an incredible example of how to blend an event with something that will also boost sales. Our third case example is the beloved furniture giant IKEA. They have released a series of AR and VR apps that let people interact with their products directly and also provide exceptional value. So, if you look at these images here, they have an augmented reality app that lets people place any one of their products in their houses, tweak the colors, and see if it'll fit and if it matches the theme. So, immediately the value is apparent. No one wants to buy a couch, haul it all the way home, and find that it doesn't fit. And it also taps into people's passion for wanting to create a living space that they love and that they care about. There's tremendous B2B value there with interior designers. And so while this isn't necessarily an event in the way that the other two case studies were, it still is in the sense that it's engaging. It blurs a line between physical and virtual reality, and in a way, it's multisensory. You have your sight, you're using your touch to place the furniture. So, there are a lot of ways businesses can leverage this to create value and engagement for their customers. That's a wrap on this one. We're halfway there. Let's keep trucking. The third tactic we're talking about is societal marketing, why you need it, how you do it, and what's the difference between this and corporate social responsibility. Let's dive in. We're going to start by discussing the difference between corporate social responsibility and societal marketing. So, corporate social responsibility is something most of us are familiar with, but just as a refresher, it tends to be internal to the company and it guides corporate behavior. So, an example of that could be how many volunteer hours the employees are supposed to dedicate in a quarter or a year. Where societal marketing is external, and it's driven by the belief that companies are obligated to leave the world in a better place than they found it. So that doesn't just involve responsible operations or striving for sustainability, but it uses marketing to promote social welfare and issues that are important to that company. That could be environmentalism, it could be striving towards net zero, it could be talking about diversity, equality, and inclusion. And there's typically a strong issue that people feel passionately about when they invest in this kind of marketing. So now that we've laid the groundwork, let's go on to our statistics. So, why is societal marketing important and why do you need it in your strategy? The answer to the question is simply that it's both important for the environment and the world around us, but also that audiences really believe in this concept. So, as you can see, 87% believe in it, and 76% are more likely to buy from a company that is committed to social responsibility in some form. And when you're looking at these, it's great that it helps them to make a purchase. But in the bigger picture, it's also about your brand and what you believe in and putting that story out there. What is your brand passionate about? What are you passionate about? What causes do you truly believe in? And how are you showing that to the world? Not just for the sake of your marketing, but also to turn audiences into actioners. Let's take a look at how the biggest brands are doing it and crack open those playbooks. The first case study we're looking at is Patagonia. They are a fashion company that sells outdoor wear and gear, and they've committed to the 1% for the Planet program. So, what they do every year is that 1% of their sales goes towards supporting environmental causes. To date, according to their website, they've donated over $140 million in cash and in-kind donations to different environmental groups. And this is a fantastic way of tying their business together with something they're passionate about. There's a really natural fit between outdoor gear, exploring the wilderness, seeing all the beauty that Earth has to offer, and then donating to make sure that future generations can as well. The next case study we're looking at is a Calgary favorite, Una Pizza and Wine. So they partnered with the Mental Health Foundation as the October Community Love Partner. And for every item that's ordered off of their feature menu, Una will donate $1 to the Mental Health Foundation. Now, this is a really fantastic example of how to partner with an organization for a cause that you believe in and also getting their followers involved as well. You can see they already have likes, people are having conversations about it, and it's both prompting action and demonstrating what they care about at the same time. So, a really, really solid example of how to do societal marketing when you partner with an external organization. Last but not least, we're going to talk about Brilliant Earth. They are a jewelry store in the United States, and they have an entire section on their website that's purely devoted to their societal marketing. You can see on that screen capture that they have a page dedicated towards responsible sourcing and their commitment to conflict-free diamonds. So immediately you know the cause that they're trying to promote. And you can also see how they're supporting it themselves. So they speak to how they're sourcing their diamonds, how they're ensuring that they come from sustainable and responsible suppliers, their commitment to sustainability and recyclable materials. And that's a really great way of demonstrating societal marketing. It's not a campaign like the other case studies we've looked at, but people are able to see this when they go on the website. They can see that Brilliant Earth is committed to this issue. They can see the steps that they're taking to make sure that they're sourcing reliably. They can see the passion, and they can really sense that commitment to making sure that the jewelry industry is sustainable for generations to come. And that's an important piece of this. You don't always have to have a marketing campaign or be actively donating, but if there's a cause that's important to you, make sure that your audience can see that. Make sure that your customers can see that and really drive that home so that people know what goes on behind your brand and what you truly care about. That's the societal marketing playbook covered. Let's talk about how you can apply this to your business. So, there are always ways to tweak what these brands have already done, donating a portion of your profits, running a limited time campaign, and displaying it on your website. But there are other ways too. For example, you can showcase how you've made your business processes more sustainable and environmentally friendly. You can get involved in more grassroots community initiatives where you can give back. So, for example, when I worked at TELUS, I was part of the community marketing team, and part of my role was to go out and find ways that we could support the community on a very local level. Some things we would do included donating or sponsoring programs for underprivileged kids. We would also donate to the food bank or donate to a community center so they could improve the quality of life for their residents. We would also go out and volunteer. So it doesn't have to be a big grand gesture. It doesn't have to match the companies who are donating millions, but it has to show the passion and the effort, and that goes a really long way. I remember at TELUS when we did these initiatives, and we were specifically targeting local, but there were a lot of organizations who would thank us because they couldn't get funding by some of the larger initiatives, couldn't get support from some of the larger nonprofits. And a lot of people were really appreciative for what we did for them. They were singing our praises all over social media, they were thanking us, and that not only improved our brand and really championed that we were about local and supporting the community, but it helped us when we came back for other marketing initiatives. Those are just some ways you can do this, but there are so many little things you can do. For example, if you're in the service industry, say you're a plumber, you can provide a certain amount of appointments on a pro bono rate to people in need. You can donate your skills to projects. There are so many ways to promote your societal marketing that are really effective, that show why you care, that show that you're actively contributing to a better world, and why that reflects positively on your brand. Okay, and we are on to our last topic that you can steal. Thank you so much for hanging in there so far. Our last tactic is all about communities and micro-influencers. We all know how much effort it is to try and expand our reach by ourselves. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and as business owners, there are 1,000 other things going on. But with this tactic, we can shortcut a little bit of that work and expand our reach through channels that already exist and already have trusted followings. Now, you might be asking, why now? Influencer marketing has been around for a while. It's not a new topic, it's been well talked about, but The truth is, influencers are only growing more popular. It's well worth trying. And likewise with communities, there's a pre established group that has trust and an interest in your products and services, and leveraging this can be a great tactic for your marketing strategy. We're going to start by talking about what communities and micro influencers are, and specifically what sets micro influence apart from other influencers. Let's dive in. Communities are like your group of friends. They can be online or offline, typically have some shared interests, and they can be formal or informal. So, what do we mean when we say formal versus informal? And that's a great question. So, an example of this would be a Facebook group that's for Swifties. It has no affiliation whatsoever with Taylor Swift. However, people will still gather, share their experiences, make friends with one another, and collectively have that experience. Whereas a formal one would be if Taylor Swift did have a formal fan club. And when it comes to bands, that often comes with perks. So they can get early access to merchandise or tickets, things of that nature. Examples of communities are your Facebook groups, your subreddits, your meetup groups or your hobby groups, and your Discord servers, which typically are catered towards one interest, topic, or fandom. And you can find communities for basically anything you can think of. They're a really, really great place to go to find a demographic who's already interested in your brand, your product, or your service. So already we're cutting out that piece of work. Next, what's a micro-influencer? These are not your Kim Kardashians of the influencer world, but that doesn't mean they don't have sway, so let's not write these guys off yet. They tend to have between 10,000 and 100,000 followers, and not only are they better for the budget, but it's also been shown that they're more relatable. And that makes sense, right? When you're looking at a celebrity who's climbing into their Bentley and driving off to their mansion, it can be really hard to feel like you're part of that. Whereas you might have an influencer who, sure, they're a little smaller, but they post things like going to Starbucks, they post their morning routine, they post situations that anyone can relate to and that everyone has gone through. Those are the definitions out of the way. Let's jump to the next slide. You know the drill. Let's dive into some statistics. So, as I said, communities and micro influencers are a great way to leverage your existing following to grow your reach. But why is that? Let's take a look. So, 92% of people trust recommendations that come from other people, even if they don't know them. And I talked about this a bit earlier when it came to content. And that makes sense. We think about those groups where you ask for recommendations and you get a flood of people answering. The fact that you don't know them doesn't matter as much as the fact that it's an organic, unbiased opinion. And so they're endorsing someone and they're also not trying to sell. And that's a really important piece of this. Next, 70% of consumers are more likely to buy something that's recommended by a micro influencer. So this is where I come back to talking about the Kim Kardashians of the influencer world. Those are going to be called your mega influencers who have millions and millions of followers. However, stats have shown that comparatively, micro influencers comparatively are actually 10% higher in this range than your macro influencers and your mega influencers. That's a wrap on the stats. You know where we're headed next. Let's open that playbook and see what's waiting for us. The first case study is PlayStation and Discord. This was an amazing partnership that really demonstrates how to cross-promote and also how to leverage where your demographic is already gathering. So let's talk about it. So PlayStation partnered with Discord to offer all Discord Nitro subscribers, which is their premium service, an exclusive discount to the PlayStation Store. This is immediately effective because Discord's core demographic is gamers. A lot of these people likely already have a PlayStation, so first of all, it provides an extra benefit, not only for PlayStation but for Nitro subscribers. But in the case that a gamer isn't a PlayStation user, it might persuade them to buy one if they've been waiting on one or were previously loyal to Xbox or their PC. They're getting that automatic reach, they're providing value for both Discord and themselves, and by advertising straight to qualified leads and a qualified demographic, they're really maximizing that marketing budget. The next case study we're looking at is Ashley Darling. So she is a fitness influencer, and what she does is basic, simple, encouraging content. If you look at her feed there, it's all about her sharing workout tips or posing in athleisure and telling her followers what she likes and what she doesn't. Here in this post, you can see she's promoting a supplement that she's been sponsored to promote, which is always great. People who want to be healthy like her, who want to emulate her body, are going to immediately use things that she's using to try and get the same result. Plus, because she's an influencer, she's already built that sense of trust. But not only that, if you look up the post, there's a discount code. So people who use her code get 25% off and free shipping. So again, you're leveraging a following that trusts what she's going to recommend. You know they're interested in your product. And now by offering a discount code, it creates a sense of exclusivity for her following. And this is a really great way. If you can find an influencer to partner with who will push your product or your services, you can access a brand new audience who might eventually end up becoming a customer and a loyal brand advocate. And then lastly, we have Lexi Monty. So similar to Ashley Darling, she is an influencer, but in the fashion world. She has double the following, and she uses a different approach that we're going to talk about here. If you look on the bottom left, you can see that she's still promoting a product, but in a subtle and a somewhat different way. So rather than Ashley Darling, who explicitly said this was part of a partnership and provided a code, what Lexi Monty is doing is simply modeling the clothing. It's a fun, runway-esque modeling reel, and she sprinkles it with simple captions. So instead of overtly pitching a product or talking about what she's wearing, the modeling shoot is casual. It's accompanied with funny commentary. You can see there that people are engaging with it for the humor alone. So while she's not exactly talking about the products, it's going to make people wonder. People who want to be like Lexi Monty are going to ask where she got that dress. They're going to want to look like her, so they're more likely to purchase. Little things like that can go a long way towards building that trust, prompting a purchase, and leading them to your website or your page, and that ultimately just grows your traffic more and more and more. And there you have it. Those are the 4 marketing tactics to finally ignite your digital growth in 2024. We talked about what they were, how the big players do them, their playbooks, and how you can apply them to your business. So, with that said, who here is overwhelmed? If you raised your hand, you would not be alone. These tactics take a lot of work to carry out, and more than that, they take a lot of work to carry out well. Often you'll see full teams behind these efforts, and that looks like someone who does social media, someone who handles SEO, a content creator, a videographer, someone who understands the branding, and then someone else to build out the strategy. We're already talking about a 6-person team in order to get all of those things done. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all of that and run my business? That's a great question. And even better, the answer is you don't have to. At Class Act Media, we can be the final puzzle piece that fills all of these needs. To wrap up this webinar, I want to show you guys our amazing team of creatives. This is Class Act Media. We have our co-founders, Elisa Boyces and Angelica Ibarra, and then we have a full team of creative rock stars. Lev does our video, Janaea handles our video editing, Erica is our stunning copywriter, Caitlin is our art director and makes sure things always look beautiful and on brand, Melissa does the magic behind web dev, Vincent handles our SEO, Julie does design and content, Kim is another one of our stunning copywriters, and then you have myself. So typically I'll look at strategy, branding, and how everything fits into the overall image. And that's one of the many advantages when you have a marketing agency. You get decades of expertise in varied areas, all with different problem solving, and all geared towards driving results, just like we talked about today. That's a wrap on our webinar. Thank you so much for attending. We were thrilled to present our research, tactics, and team of creative rock stars, and we truly hope that you derived some valuable insights for your business. Before you go, we wanted to let you know that as an exclusive webinar offer, we want to give everyone who attended a 1-hour consultation with a one-page action plan that's valued at $350 and 10% off your first project with us. To redeem your offer, simply scan the QR code or enter that link into your browser. It'll take you to my booking calendar, and I will be more than happy to meet you for a consultation. Once again, folks, thanks for taking precious time out of your day to join us for this webinar, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one.